Right, good morning, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us. My name's Kerry Chown. I'm the Director of Cobalt HR. If I could just introduce my colleagues. So first of all, Fanny.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fanny Freyash. I'm the HR and Organizational Development Officer at Cobalt HR, long and fancy name. And I hope we can give you some valuable tips on becoming an employer of choice today.
Fabulous. And if I could just ask Nick to introduce himself as well from Cardiff Unveiled College.
Thanks, Kerry. Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Easton. I'm one of the business consultants here at Cardiff Unveiled College, and I'm lovely to be supporting Kerry and Fanny with this webinar today, and have a chat with you all at the end.
Excellent. Thanks very much. So we, Cobalt HR and Cardiff Unveiled College have got quite a long history now of running webinars together. And it fits really well because as a HR consultancy, we've got a real strong commitment to learning and development, but we'll cover more of that during the session. So on the screen, you should be able to see a QR code, and we'd encourage you to connect up with us on LinkedIn. So we tend to use it quite a bit, and we'll post fairly regularly on there. So just a couple of ground rules for the webinar. So we would encourage you to keep your microphone on mute unless you're going to comment. We've got time at the end for questions, so either put your questions in the chat or any comments that you've got, or bring them up a bit later, and we'll be happy to answer those if we can. Can we just remind you that the session is being recorded, and we're going to send you the recording afterwards, so don't worry too much about taking loads of notes, because you will have all the information at the end. And as well as the recording, we're also going to send you the slides. So hopefully they'll be a useful reminder and will enable you to make good use of the information. So a little bit more about us. So we've been in existence as a HR company now for just over 6 years. And these are some of the companies that we have either worked for. Well, I think all of those we're still working for all this time later. So they tend to come into sort of two particular areas. One is sports governing bodies, because that reflects my background when I used to work for Sport Wales. And the others are more of a range of private sector businesses, many of them technology based. And so you see some examples there, but there are many others as well. So it gives us a good cross section really across different sectors. And obviously over this time now we've created quite a bit of experience, largely around engagement, high performance working, and performance management, all of that area there. So this is what we're going to cover today. Obviously, what's an employer of choice? So a little bit of an introduction around that. We're going to try and keep the pace quite relaxing. So as we mentioned, by all means, put comments and questions in the chat, but we're going to give you quite a lot of information. So as I said, don't worry about writing it all down, because we'll give you everything afterwards. So as well as what is an employer of choice, why become an employer of choice? What's the benefit to you and your organisation? So we're going to look at some of the benefits and the reasons. So we're going to look at the recruitment challenges at the moment, cost of living, a whole host of current topics, which will encourage us to be employers of choice. We're also going to look at the benefits around becoming an employer of choice as well, and some of the different sort of techniques you might choose to use. We're going to then look at a case study. Fanny's going to talk us through a case study from Google, so that will give us some interesting food for thought as well. And then we said we give you some tips, and we will. So we've got 5 tips for you, which will also give you sort of some ideas about things that you could take away. Then we're going to ask Nick Easton to tell us about Cardiff Unveiled College and what their contribution can be to this agenda. And then we're going to have a sort of brief summary and time for questions. So that's roughly how that's going to work. So I'm now going to hand over to Fanny, who's going to deal with the introductory question of what is an employer of choice. Fanny.
Thank you, Kerry, for setting us up. So this is just a little bit of introduction on what is employer of choice and what is this buzz phrase and what is this all about? An employer of choice is an organization who outperforms competitors to attract, develop, and retain people with business required talent. They achieve this recognition through innovative and compelling human resource programs that benefit both the employees and their organizations alike. So in plain words, people choose to work for you rather than for competitors because your business is established as a great place to work and delivering a superior employee experience. So how you market your company to job seekers and what employees say about your company as a workplace are strong indicators of whether you are an employer of choice. So the difference between employer branding and employee value proposition, we have two important terms here. It is important to think about what's it like to work at your company and what is your company's compelling story. EVP, employee value proposition, refers to the promises an employer makes to their team, highlighting the benefits and rewards, and it also indicates how well staff are treated, which can influence employer branding. Employer branding, on the other hand, is the process by which employees embrace the brand image and they are motivated to reflect that image. It is your reputation and popularity as an employer for job candidates and describes the values a company gives to its employees. So essentially, the difference is that EVP highlights what someone gets out of working for you, while employer branding is what people say about your company. And EVP then therefore can be part of the employer branding. Both of their intention is to recruit and keep top talent, and we believe that it should be a crucial part of every organization's recruitment and retention strategy. So you might ask why we need to become an employer of choice. There are a number of external factors affecting businesses at the moment. Started with the pandemic, and then we experienced the Great Resignation, retirement. We are going through a cost of living crisis at the moment, and we experience an employee-driven market and a diversity, equity, and inclusion trend. So the coronavirus pandemic has changed attitudes towards the world of work. Priorities have shifted, and the majority of people now expect greater flexibility from employers. With the global recession taking place and the cost of living crisis, employees' mindsets, expectations, and must-haves also shifted. People are more likely to look for certainty, which raises the issue for employers to think creatively about ways to attract and hold on to talent. Much of unhappiness stems from working within a toxic, unsupportive, and unappreciative environment that is emotionally and physically demanding, and it can be coming for your workforce, or you have already experienced the impact it had. In addition, the number of vacancies is outweighing the number of people searching for employment, creating an employee-driven market. And therefore, it has become even more important for employers to understand employees' needs and adapt their organization accordingly to become an employer of choice. Another topic that is becoming more and more important is the need for employers to value diversity, inclusion, and equity. According to a CNBC research, nearly 80% of those surveyed said they want to work for a company who value diversity, equity, and inclusion. So some of the factors to consider, we collected for you. So what do employees value? Employees are likely to talk about the day-to-day people management, company values, and workplace cultures. So these are some of the factors that employees consider when deciding whether a company they work for is great or not. So these are company reputation, so what people say about you, and Glassdoor ratings come into the picture as well. Company culture, enlightened leadership, treatment of people, so do they perceive fairness or unfairness in pay, for example. Opportunities for career growth. Do they know how to step into the next role, or their visibilities to the next position? And also meaningful work. Do they know what the purpose is of doing this work? Compensation and benefits also will always be in the picture, and flexible working more and more. So being an employer of choice comes with many benefits, most of which are related to hiring and retaining. And so Kerry's going to give you some information on that now.
Excellent. Thanks, Fanny. That's great. So you guys, I'm sure, will be thinking, well, what's in it for me? Where are the benefits? So I'm going to talk through some, which I'm sure will also apply in your organisation. First and foremost, I wanted to talk about recruitment costs. Now, anybody these days who's trying to recruit knows it's difficult. And many organisations are finding that they have to advertise jobs more than once before they're able to fill the vacancies. Well, those organisations that show themselves to be an employer of choice will find that 50% cost of hire reduction normally applies. So you can pick new staff up much more quickly than maybe you would have done otherwise. And 1 to twice the faster time to hire. So these things are important because recruitment is a detailed process which costs money anyway. And so the quicker you can make that process and get people in to do the job you need them to do, it's a really important factor. So companies with a strong employer brand spend less on recruiting because they don't have to work hard to attract high quality, more qualified talent. And that's obviously key to our business performance. With high-profile brands, you can capture the interests of top candidates and stand out from the competitors, which means you can reschedule interviews while your competition is still sourcing. So it's just getting ahead of the crowd, really, and making sure that people are attracted to you. So it means as soon as there's a vacancy, you can have a surplus of qualified candidates to begin interviewing. So you're saving time and effort in starting the process by attracting new clients more quickly. Additionally, one of the most efficient and cost-effective ways to hire talent is through employee referrals. I just wonder whether any of you guys have tried that, but it's very powerful where you ask your workforce to recommend people. If they want to work there, then they're more likely to recommend people to come and join the team. So that's definitely worth thinking about, some type of a referral scheme. And in reality, your current employees should act as the best ambassadors and should be able to deliver top candidates who will thrive at the company because they already know how good it is. So it's worth investing some time there as well. So a high performing organisation or an employer of choice will be able to see higher quality candidates, 50% more qualified, applying for your jobs compared to other organisations. And importantly, higher retention. So reduced turnover rates by 28%, a study from LinkedIn said, and that's really important. Companies' retention highly depends on their reputation. So strong reputation, people don't want to leave. And not only that, but the employees will feel engaged and committed, which breeds loyalty and they'll stay with you longer. So really important factors. So others include improved performance. So employees in an enjoyable and engaging work environment are more likely to do better work. And so you'll have less time invested in performance managing them. So boosting employee morale is also important. So when your employer brand is based on how well you treat employees and what a wonderful employee experience people are having, there is pride that comes from working for the company. When employees are taken care of and career paths are supportive, it encourages morale and people are just not going to want to leave on the same basis. So finally, builds credibility with customers. So customers are more likely to buy from recommended companies they trust, and they'll continue to buy from you. So all of these worth the investment in time. So on the next slide, we've got a poll for you. So this time we want to know who's in charge of a business employer's image. So please share your thoughts. We'll give you a minute to do that. Now, it's a little bit of a trick question in a sense, because all of those there will have some responsibility. So obviously the CEO's the face of the company, reflects the organization's values and missions. So they've got a role in terms of setting up the organization in the right way, that it gives a very positive image of itself. HR team communicates the organization's culture to a target audience and helps maintain a strong team culture by recruiting and retaining the right people. Obviously, the marketing team will use targeting strategies and communicate what the internal company is about to potential candidates to attract them in. But none of this would work unless employees are behind it. So this is where everyone's got a role and something to contribute. And it's just making sure that everyone's working together. And that largely comes down then to really good communications across the organization. Okay, thanks for that. That's really good. If we could stop sharing. Okay, so I'm going to hand back to Fanny now, who's going to take us through a case study by Google.
Thank you, Kerry. So we just wanted to introduce a case study just so we know what we mean by an employer of choice, and we have an example to introduce. So there is a video on this slide which you can watch in your own time, and this video talks about what it's like working at Google. So it is known that Google has been voted the #1 space to work in the UK. They have 3 million annual job applications, and they invest heavily in their employee value proposition, and they created an abundance of added employer benefits, including free food, cooking classes, campus workspaces, all the good things. And they also invest in employees' career development. And if that's not enough, they also have a movie, The Internship, which tells the story of life working at Google. So what do they do well? And if you watch the video, you can observe that employees feel they do meaningful work and feel supported in a team working environment. They also mention opportunities for learning. The company's values include teamwork, determination, out-of-the-box thinking, adaptability, all of which come through really well when people talk about the organization. Google also does corporate social responsibility very well. They invested heavily into driving their CSR strategy. For example, they have this scheme called Google Green, which is focused around using resources more effectively and supporting renewable power. And this means Google is viewed with a more positive view by public and current and prospective employees. The company offers great perks such as free food, gym, free massages, learning programs, and discounts. And they also have unique workspaces with beautiful buildings. And if that's not enough, they have 3 official team dogs, which make it a fun and not a typical workplace to work at. Employees are called Googlers, whereas Googliness is a quality that defines Google employees and potential candidates to enable culture fit. And this play on the language can really reflect the company's personality and attributes, which strengthens their brands really. And after all this, most organizations don't have the resources to provide financial benefits for employees that can compete with these big names like Google and their big budgets. And half of employers believe that they don't have the tools to effectively enhance their employer brand, and we are here to prove that wrong. And we are going to give you some tips on how you can stand out from the crowd to attract and retain the top talent without spending a fortune. And Kerry's going to start with some of the tips.
Perfect, thank you. So the first one is to focus on the employer brand for a good reputation. So this is really important. People are attracted to organisations with a strong brand and a good reputation. So what helps to build an external profile is a consistent approach to messaging, content and employee advocacy. So employees can be the best brand ambassadors. They could provide, for example, employee testimonials that reflect the candidate experience. You could encourage positive employee testimonials, social media profiles to reflect the brand and values, or create a day in the life video or article. It reflects what it's like to work here. On our Cobalt HR YouTube channel, we've asked many of the students who've worked with us before to put a short video on there. So if you want to look at those, you can do. But it's something that's easy to do and doesn't cost much money. Also, you could design an attractive employee value proposition, so including perks and benefits. But it's important that these initiatives and benefits reflect the values of the company to come across more authentic. Indeed, it can be damaging if an organisation sells a culture that upon joining is different to reality. Some companies, for example, are very good at recruiting. They can get people in, they can tempt them in, but keeping them could be another story, because there's nowhere to hide if these things are not authentic. And also, if you're thinking about changing your culture or brand, bear in mind it does take some time. So one of the things we're going to send out afterwards with the documents is some questions to consider when strengthening your employer brand. So we're hoping that'll be helpful to you as well. The second tip we got for you is tip 2, how to strengthen the employee value proposition. So something here to think about is perks. And as part of a total reward package that's both competitive and accounts for a diverse workforce, and this can be a complete game changer for your company culture and employee development. So a total reward system goes beyond the traditional rewards package and it can include monetary and non-monetary elements to it. Also, it can be innovative and it could enable you to create some perks which maybe don't exist elsewhere. So we're going to look at some of the examples in some of the other tips as well that we're going to cover today. So tip 3, strengthen the company's culture and values. Now, this is something you have got control over. So doesn't necessarily cost money, but it does mean being quite determined and resilient. So culture and values of a company far outranks compensation and benefits in regards to keeping employees satisfied. This came through in an article by People Management. A strong and positive company culture is essential for many employees to find meaning and value within their work. Culture shouldn't just be internal, it should be reflected in your brand and external communications too. So employees gravitate more towards organisations that have a clear mission, a set of values, and are attracted to companies whose values align with their own. So, for example, you could have a value of pioneering with a statement that we thrive on pushing the boundaries of what we do, encouraging creativity and entrepreneurial thinking at all levels. This can sound very intriguing for a candidate who thrives on being creative and thinking outside the box. It has to be right for your business though. And so it does mean being challenging and authentic, as we said earlier on. So a bit more information around workplace culture and values. So some components for strong and positive culture. The first one we're going to cover is recognition. It's essential to recognise employees for their hard work. No one wants to feel unnoticed when they're making an effort. So some of the things you could do, employees maybe enjoy company exclusive discounts such as supermarket vouchers, Amazon vouchers, etc. Employee recognition examples could also include rewards, awards, lunch with the boss, birthday, anniversary parties, new hire welcome packages to cultivate a strong onboarding process. Could be new mum or dad packages, maybe an employee of the month scheme where the successful employee gets a free parking spot right outside the front door. It could be free discounted car wash facilities. When you're thinking that all those things might cost money, some do, but not all. And remember that the most important form of recognition is always a thank you. And so there's lots you can do even without spending a lot of money. It's just making it embedded and authentic. So morale is another area, another component of a strong and positive culture. So some ideas could be bring your pet to work day, providing a nap room where maybe people are working longer days, providing pet insurance, or maybe offsite team building activities. Another thing could be free food and employee treats. These are highly valued and they cost little, and they are good benefits to startups. For example, stacks and pizza, surprise chocolates left on the desk, ordered in breakfast. Free food could be another one where people are home working. So don't just think that, oh, we can't do this because some of the staff are at home. We know from our Cobalt HR team meetings that sometimes we'll do food and we'll just order it off Deliveroo or one of the other companies and all have it in our respective homes and be together on Zoom. So it's amazing what you can make work, really. So free food for people either in the office or at their workstation or at home can be really powerful and an important contribution for people to sort of feel valued. And also it's got the practical element as well of refueling people during the day by offering everybody sort of meal deliveries wherever they are. And it can differentiate you from competitors. The other things which could be a little bit more sort of conventional could be a trip to the cinema or some meal vouchers, and staff can sort those things out themselves. So it don't have to be the organisation providing resources to organise it as well. People just really value the sort of offer of that recognition. So another component of a strong and positive culture is employee well-being, and we hear a lot about that today. So refreshed, relaxed, balanced employees are the most productive and satisfied. So some of the things you might want to think about are private medical insurance. So some employees value elements of that, for example, dental care, excuse me, life assurance or eye care. And it can help unwell employees return to work more quickly. And many organisations extend the benefit to cover family members as well. So there's something to think about there. And many organisations are considering this now, even if they didn't before, because obviously the National Health Service has got some challenges and it can be helpful. Gym membership is another one that's highly valued. So a quarter of employees reputed to have said that they would value gym membership. A simple one would be Fresh Fruit Fridays, where the company provides a basket of fruit, maybe some free water, tea, coffee, healthy drinks in particular, are a cheap and effective way to keep people healthy. Healthy vending machines for those companies who either have vending machines or are thinking of putting them in. And I don't mean chocolate and crisps. So healthy products to go in there would be really good and show value. And other wellbeing initiatives, for example, some of our clients offer yoga at work, an employee assistance program where somebody can ring somebody up if they got concerns and need someone to talk to, relaxation room or a games room, and fresh flowers on the desk could be another option. So something further you might want to think about is mindfulness. You could have a subscription to something like Headspace, where people can just use it if they feel the need from time to time. But it's all showing that the employer really cares about its people. So in terms of the choice is really important. And you can have a list of benefits and then let people choose what's relevant to them. So one of the participants, when we ran this session last time, reported that they were able to get free domestic cleaning, and that was available to all staff as part of the benefits package. And obviously, whether you choose to use that or not, it's different. And so if you could think of things that get applicants or your employees' attention, then that's a really good place to start. But the important thing with all of these things is don't try and guess what employees want, ask them instead. So we always encourage our clients to use either a wellbeing or an employee engagement survey, because it shows staff the fact that you value them by asking their opinions. And obviously, once you've got their views, you can then do something with the information and maybe put some schemes in place and use maybe a focus group to try and narrow down the detail. So also aligned to this is strengthening the company's values. So values are really important. So empower and involve employees to make decisions and take responsibilities for how they do their jobs. People really appreciate this, that sense of autonomy. Respect is another one. In an employer of choice organisation, employees feel that their managers and co-workers fundamentally respect them. Employees look for companies that practice the core value of honesty within organisations, and they look for accessible leaders. And another is trust. So when employees have access to their leaders, are well informed about what's going on and the plans for the organisation's future, they see the leadership following through on promises, and then they trust them. And that sense of trust breeds loyalty. So fairness is another value. So perceptions of unfair treatment, that's obviously to be avoided at all costs. So employees want to be treated fairly. The key factors to consider are workload, promotions, salary, incentives, rewards, and recognition. So obviously your values are one of the things you can test by an employee engagement survey. So it just makes sure that you've got your finger on the pulse really in terms of, are we really living by our values? And then alignment of values is also key. So meaningful work, who wouldn't want that? It's part of what we want as humans. So it evokes passion in potential candidates and employees by expressing your company's positive impact on the world, or its deeper purpose, and helping people to see the alignment. So it's this sort of sense that we share our values between the employee and the organisation. So Fanny is now going to pick up on tip 4, embracing flexible working options.
Thank you, Kerry. And I think it doesn't come as a surprise if we mention that tip 4 is to embrace flexible working options. Employees' expectations have changed, with approximately 40% of employees leaving a job that doesn't offer flexible working. And this came from an article in People Management. And so adopting a more flexible approach can help achieve a better work-life balance for employees. This also shows that employees now expect a greater flexibility and autonomy, and it will be hugely attractive to a diverse pool of candidates and will retain talent as well. Work-life balance is an important, if not more important than pay, when it comes to workplace satisfaction. And we also see burnout becoming the center of the discussion. So what sort of things can employers do? We included some examples. One of those is flexible working hours, which could mean that someone can start earlier or later. And what it does, it gives ownership over that work and allows staff to work more effectively while having an improved work-life balance. And it doesn't cost much. Another one is working from home if you don't do it already. Depending on the nature of the work, workers with laptops and cloud-based software and broadband connection can now work from anywhere. It can reduce the spread of illness and cut down the commute cost and time, which are important for the employees' well-being and work-life balance. Another well-being initiative or perk to embed flexibility, but also increase productivity and morale and lower absenteeism can include time off perks. So some employees value free time over money. You could give them the choice, for example, leaving earlier sometimes, and other time off perks which you could try, such as time off for birthdays, duvet days, volunteer time off if that's one of your company's values. But it's always worth ensuring that any benefits are in line with the company's values. A final tip would be holiday trading. So you can consider allowing staff to buy additional holidays or sell back unused days, which is just extra flexibility that can be attractive for many. And we know that from working with clients that this can get complicated. So if you need support managing the holiday trading system, we would be happy to help you with this. And becoming an employer of choice, we can show you how. The final tip is to provide opportunities to grow. In general, people look for advancement, and if organizations can't show people they have specific opportunities to grow, then they will look somewhere else. Employees rate career growth opportunities and a challenging work environment as important attributes of an employer of choice. So we do need to think about providing visibility to career pathing and how to support career progression. And we should also include the opportunities for learning and career progression in your employer brand. For example, you can encourage people to share their stories on social media about their career progression and their development activities. And Nick is also going to talk about some development opportunities to provide you with ideas and considerations for how to support growth. But before he does that, I'll just mention some initiatives such as mentoring and coaching opportunities, lunch and learns, work in another department for the day, or providing professional training, personal development plans, which can support and help employees identify specific areas that will help them grow and are aligned with their and the organization's objectives. You can empower them by letting them take responsibility for their own learning as well. You could also sponsor courses or qualifications, and by doing so, the employee feels invested and valued. You can also encourage participation in free webinars such as this and development opportunities. You can share it with others and allowing participation during work time. But the main thing is to find out what your employees value so you can create a culture where continuous learning and growth mindsets are promoted. And over to Kerry and on how Cobalt HR can help.
So to become an employer of choice and enable the ability to attract and retain the best candidates with a desirable company culture, leadership style and employee engagement, there are obviously many factors of HR that you need to consider to continually improve. So the concept of employer of choice goes beyond caring for employees. It's more about making a good reputation. So we can help guide employers using employee benefits and rewards and recognition to improve the employee experience. To be effective, the employer brand should be evident in every stage of the employment relationship, from the attraction stage, that recruitment process, induction, performance management and reward, until people eventually leave the organisation. And even then, you want people to talk positively about their experience with the company. In the work that we do, we ensure legal compliance and best practice throughout our work with employers. So we can guarantee you would be confident with the work that we do. And some of the sort of things that we can do which might help you is work with employers to review and develop organisation values and provide a clear behavioural framework. We can then align recruitment with goals by writing inclusive job descriptions and tracking diversity hiring metrics. Integrate the organisation's value system norms and decide organisational behaviours in the onboarding process, which has a positive impact on the early job experiences and reinforces the culture. We can also help with performance management, and we don't see that as sort of a negative part of what we do. We see that about maximising performance management all the time. It's a positive experience. And negative performance issues usually come because you haven't got the positive side right. Develop or adapt reward and recognition schemes, as well as total reward packages. We've done that, like we work with lots of companies. Provide training on relevant topics such as performance management, giving and receiving feedback, and more. And we'll send some information out on upcoming events following this event. Measuring employee engagement is a big part of what we do, so it helps to understand what employees need and how effective the employer brand and EVP is at the moment. And we could also develop and apply policies that support employment law and reflect and shape the organisation's culture. So there's a whole range of things. So if you're thinking, oh, there's some stuff in here I want to do, but I don't know where to start, there are people who can help you. So take advantage of that by all means. So we introduced Nick at the start. So Nick is going to talk about Cardiff Unveiled College's offer, and I'm sure that'll be helpful as well. So Nick.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you, Fanny. Great presentation this morning. Great webinar. Really interesting. Lots of good ideas in there. Certainly to be looked at, and just to sort of to add value to the people on the call today, just to tie into what you guys have been talking about, is making people and colleagues being valued, being a workplace of choice, and working with Cardiff Unveiled College. I'm here today just to talk about a number of course or training courses that your staff could do, or you could discuss with myself and Kerry to see what you could offer your staff to make them more valued, and again, adding that, becoming an employer of choice. So as the slide they've put up there for me today shows all the ILMs that we have on offer at Cardiff Unveiled College. Currently, these ILMs are funded. However, in the new year, we have a change of funding pot as the funding we have for these, the pot is changing. So I'm just waiting for clarification how funded these courses will be after Christmas. But again, if you are interested and want to know more about these courses, please get my details off Kerry, and we can have a chat and we see what we can come up with as well, and see how we can support your business. But that is just one pot of funding we have at the moment. We have a large pot of funding for the next 3 years with our personal learning account courses as well. So we can share the link to that on our website. And again, individuals can sign up as long as they meet the eligibility criteria. And again, they can have a look at courses there again to develop themselves further. There's lots and lots of courses on there, ranging from construction to administration to creative, you name it. There's loads and loads of different courses on there that might add value to someone's job role or to just their needs to want to develop themselves further. So certainly we have lots of different ranges of courses available to support. And again, this is only support, and that's why I'm here today to support and partner with Kerry and Fanny around this, to show that we actually have opportunities to be able to help you support your staff and develop them further. There's lots of other things we can do. We've got bespoke courses as well. So again, we can do team building, customer service, you name it. We can help them support that way. Again, in support with Kerry and Fanny as well. But again, any conversations about how the college can support and develop your staff and help you give an offering or training needs to your staff, please get in touch and we can discuss it further. But yeah, thank you very much for today, guys.
Real, thanks, Nick. So in summary then, we've covered quite a bit. So we started off saying that at the moment we've got a candidate-driven market, so not enough people, hard to recruit, but an employer brand can make all the difference. So many employees feel disempowered or feel that they're working in a job they didn't pick, So reviewing the employer brand and employee value proposition can be really important. It's just worth investing the time to make sure that makes you look really, really attractive as an organisation. At the moment, work-life balance, flexibility and career development are the main factors that can attract or retain employees. Employers need to stay up to date with what employees and potential employees value, because it's changing regularly, and also consider external factors such as the mental health crisis, the great resignation and retirement, and the cost of living crisis. It's more important than ever to rethink how employers can become an employer of choice, where their brand, culture and strategies attract and retain the best staff at the lower cost. So what we wanted to ask you to do now is, if you've got any particular takeaways, could you please add them to the chat, because we want to make sure you're getting some value from the session. So if you've got sort of a couple of things you think, I'm going to try that out, please share it with us in the chat. It'd be really interesting to see. So extending the benefits package, yes, very important. And it's interesting about benefits. Fanny spoke about providing some things that don't necessarily cost a lot of money, and it's true. One of my organisations, going back a little while, where somebody was doing particularly good work, they'd get extra half a day's holiday. And so if you got that, you really felt valued, and it didn't cost the company anything, just giving people a little bit of time. So it's just trying to be creative, really. So while you're all thinking, I'll just tell you what's going to happen now in terms of next steps. So well done for attending today. Really pleased to see you. And for us, this is a really important webinar. We run this about twice a year because there's just so much changing, and so many things employers can do just to help themselves be good employers and be able to recruit and retain. So thanks very much for coming along. We're going to send you the slides. We're going to send you a list of further reading and a freebie on top questions to consider when becoming an employer of choice. We're also going to send a survey link to ask how you found the webinar, and we'd really appreciate your feedback. It only takes about a minute to fill it in, but we're really keen to make sure that these sessions are valuable to people, and it enables us also to improve how we do what we do. We've got a number of training courses coming up over the next few months, including managing your culture and managing performance effectively and inclusively. So we'd encourage you to have a look at those, and they're all on Eventbrite, but we'll send you further information anyway. And then we're going to send you the leaflet so you can register. And bear in mind, we do operate an early bird discount, so the earlier you book, you do save a bit of money. So just going back to the chat, so one of the participants said about being a listening organisation, and that's really important. It's easy to assume what people want or what they need. So yeah, it's just asking people is really important. And another comment came in is what's been confirmed today is that we reduced our staff in return for software, but lost the family feel in the office. However, now increasing numbers, I'm going to try to rebuild the family team feeling again. I think it's amazing what you can do without spending an awful lot of money. I mentioned about the holiday idea earlier on, but there's lots of things you can do. And I'd always say a good starting off point is the thank you conversation with your team. So start with things that are easy and then become a little bit more adventurous, but do it alongside staff. Okay, so are there any questions anybody wanted to raise? We've got a little bit of time. It's about 7 or 8 minutes. So happy to take questions.
Hi, Kerry, it's me, Vicky Perkins. Hello, we met a while ago.
We did.
And again soon, I hope.
Yeah,
Um,
lunch soon.
Yeah, lunch soon. Yeah, I hope so. Yes, I'll text you later. I was wondering if you had anything at the moment because of the cost of living stuff, whether employers are doing anything different
I think
to support them.
Yeah, the key thing is there's a number of organisations offering support, and it could be just sort of guidance on budgeting, or it could be other types of support where where there's maybe a range of different things people can look at. So we can send some information out with all those documents following this event on some things to think about. We were looking at whether we should run a webinar on it, but there's already quite a bit going on outside.
Yeah.
So we weren't sure whether to do it, but we'd be happy to send some links around on places where people can go, because it is a big issue for sure. Because people were managing before, and all of a sudden it's now. Well, we've seen the thing with food bags, haven't we? Lots of people now, even when they're in work, are relying on food bags. But I think the employer shouldn't just ignore it. They should see the issue and the fact that people will be distracted and concerned about it, obviously. And so if the employer can point them in the right direction, it's showing that there's a bit of care for people, and it's really important. So we'll send a couple of links out with the documents today, and hopefully people find that helpful. If all the people on the call here would value a webinar on that, also please share that with us, because we'd be happy to put one on. If we got people who are prepared to come along, we were happy to talk about it. No problem.
Thanks, Kerry. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Regarding the hello by the way, regarding the video, the Google video, Life at Google, what was it called on YouTube?
The internship, was that the one you were talking about, Fanny?
1 second, I'm checking. Yeah, it's about what it feels like working at Google.
Yeah.
I'm checking the title exactly.
We're going to send the link out as well, though, so that'll make it a bit easier for you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's good. We looked at it and we were going to include it, but we took it out because of lack of time. But yeah, we'll send the link with it so that you can watch it, because it's good. It just gives you ideas, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember I watched a program about a company. They make natural fruit juices. You probably know.
Oh, yes.
I can't think. Anyway, they went in their offices in London and it was amazing. And
yeah.
I remember thinking, I'm not going to put slides from one floor to the other or anything like that, or swings, but just the stuff they did, the smaller stuff they did within the company, that I thought, wow, there's some stuff there, even just letting people wear shorts to work on a Friday, things like that. They're little things, but they made a difference.
And those little things, they do make all the difference. And it's the fact that you've thought about them and put them in place for staff. And it just really creates a loyalty that is priceless, really.
Yeah, we're finding early finish Friday works.
Yes.
By 4 o'clock on a Friday, you can go. You've got an hour and a half of quiet time because you lock the office. For quiet time to concentrate on the stuff you didn't manage to do. Really well. So we get to 3:30 and we ask people, have you done everything? Because if you haven't, behind and have a bit of quiet time. But if you have, the weekend.
Exactly. Yeah, we live all that. We don't work at all on a Friday, so.
Oh well, that's the next step.
Yeah, something to think about.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. It's amazing what you can do, really. And
And
if you're an employer which wants the best for its staff, you'll think about what things are right for them, and more flexibility is the way to go for sure. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. We should connect up on LinkedIn. Be good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions that anybody's champing at the bit to ask? Fabulous. Okay, well, thanks very much, everyone, for coming along today. And hopefully we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you very much.
So, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
I'll be back in touch, Vicky.
Good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.